I'm a farmer, born and raised in the dirt, sweat, and sun. My land isn't just home, it's legacy. Unfortunately, it's also annoyingly close to an estate that got taken over by some power-drunk HOA called Shadow Creek. Now, I don't hate the people in it. Some of them are actually good company. We've shared cold beer and fence line laughs, but every peaceful place eventually grows a tumor. This one? Her name is Grace. HOA president, clipboard carrier, rulebook evangelist with a personality drier than stale bread. I had just wrapped up a 12-hour day hauling feed, fixing my tractor, and chasing a loose goat when I pulled into my gravel driveway and saw her. Grace, standing at my gate like she owned the damn soil beneath it. Welcome to Prodigy Tales. Make sure you like and subscribe for your top-notch HOA drama. Now, at first, I figured maybe she lost her way or came to return a pie dish or some other neighborly excuse to annoy me. But nope. Clipboard clutched like a weapon, lips pursed with that "I came to wage war" expression only the worst kind of suburban tyrant can wear. I stepped out of my truck, tired and not in the mood. My boots still had manure on them, and the sunburn on my neck was screaming, but here I was, facing the HOA invasion. "Evening," I said, wiping sweat from my brow. She didn't even smile. "Mr. Bennett?" she asked, checking her papers like I was on some wanted list. "Yup, that's me. I'm here on behalf of the Shadow Creek HOA board. We've received reports of unapproved commercial activity happening on this property, specifically illegal Airbnb rentals. As the president of the HOA, I'm required to investigate." I blinked. "Ma'am, this is a farm. Ain't nobody vacationing next to chickens and cow patties." She didn't care. "We take community standards seriously. If your property falls under the shared zoning buffer, we have rights to inspect. You may not realize, but your cabin was part of the original Shadow Creek boundary map." Now that was complete BS, and she knew it. But she wanted in, and I wasn't about to open that gate. Before we dive in deeply, let us know in the comments where you're watching this story from. Grace stood there, eyes twitching, like she couldn't believe someone had the nerve to tell her no. Her mouth opened, closed, then opened again like she was buffering. "Refusal to cooperate," she finally muttered, scribbling something on her clipboard, "will result in legal consequences." I didn't respond. I just leaned on the gatepost, watching her spiral. She wasn't used to resistance. She was used to trembling townhomes and neighbors who folded when she cleared her throat. But this wasn't vinyl siding and manicured sidewalks. This was my dirt, my dogs, my rules. She whipped out her phone and took photos of my property like she was building an FBI case. "Unpermitted structures," she said out loud, snapping a shot of my woodshed. "Possible code violations, animal safety concerns, structural hazards." I blinked. "That's a damn chicken coop," I said, "and the only hazard around here is you." She acted like I hadn't spoken and then stomped back to her SUV like it personally offended her. Before peeling out, she yelled, "Expect a full inspection. We're bringing the board." Like it was some kind of HOA Avengers. I wasn't surprised. The next day, one of my neighbors, Frank from down the way, texted me. "Bro, Grace is making noise at the meeting. Says you're running a covered Airbnb and hiding dogs that aren't registered." I sent him a laughing emoji and went back to hauling hay. But I knew she wasn't bluffing. Grace didn't yell empty threats. She calculated them. She was the type to read her own HOA handbook for fun. 3 days later, I had to leave town. Tractor parts up north. I figured things would cool down while I was gone. I locked up the cabin, posted fresh private property and beware of dogs signs at every gate, and topped off the feeders. My 2 dogs, Bear and Grizzle, roamed the property freely. Not killers, but if you weren't welcome, they'd make sure you left, understanding that. What I didn't expect was for Grace to come back that same afternoon. She must have seen my truck missing and assumed she had the green light. No witnesses, no resistance, just her, a clipboard, and a fantasy of absolute power. Problem is, she wasn't alone on that land. I was halfway upstate picking up parts when the notification hit my phone. Motion sensors triggered on the east gate. At first, I figured it was a deer or maybe bear chasing squirrels again. But when I opened the live feed and saw a familiar purple blouse squeezing through my side fence, clipboard still in hand like a badge of entitlement, my blood pressure spiked. Grace had actually done it. She'd trespassed. Broad daylight. Plain as ever. She ducked under a security camera and headed toward the cabin, muttering like she was reciting a spell. This lady didn't just ignore signs, she straight up declared war on them. What she didn't know, what she was absolutely too arrogant to imagine, is that the cameras weren't my only line of defense. Bear and Grizzle had been lazing under the porch all morning, but the moment she stepped foot on the gravel path, their heads popped up like twin radar dishes. I watched, stunned, as Karen pushed through the second gate, the one with the bold red "Do Not Enter" live guard dog sign. She either missed it or chose to ignore it, and either way, she'd made a fatal mistake. Bear was the first to charge. He's fast, but silent until the last second. Grace didn't see him coming until he was 5 feet away. She shrieked and tried to backpedal, but she tripped over her own clipboard, flailed like a cartoon character, and landed flat on her back right in the dirt. Grizzle followed, barking like a demon unleashed. They didn't go for the kill. They're trained better than that. But they're also not going to sit and shake paws with a trespasser. She got a bite on the leg, a scratch on the arm, and plenty of slobber and ripped fabric before scrambling away, screaming like her HOA empire had just collapsed. I called 911 immediately, explained the situation, shared the footage live. They told me to stay on the line and dispatched emergency services. By the time I got back home, paramedics were already treating her on the edge of my property. She was yelling about rabies, lawsuits, and assault by canine, even though she was the one who broke in. The sheriff pulled me aside and simply said, "Don't worry, we saw everything." Grace did exactly what you'd expect a woman like her to do. She pressed charges, claimed I'd unleashed vicious animals on a concerned citizen performing her neighborhood duties. She limped into court with a crutch she didn't need, bandages for scratches that had already scabbed over, and the same smug clipboard tucked in her oversized purse like a cursed artifact. But what she didn't bring was jurisdiction, facts, or a single legal leg to stand on. Turns out my land isn't just outside of the HOA, it was never included in any annexed development zones. Her so-called community integrity buffer wasn't real, just HOA fantasy roleplay. The judge looked at the footage I submitted, clear as day. Grace stepping over private property signs, ignoring the red "Beware of Dogs" gate warning, bypassing every legal boundary, and trespassing on camera. He didn't even let her lawyer finish before dismissing her complaint. I could have sued her. Trespassing, defamation, attempted fraud, emotional distress, you name it. But I didn't. I could have bankrupted her with court fees alone, but I wanted something simpler, cleaner, more satisfying. So instead, I filed a restraining order. Grace is now legally banned from coming within 300 feet of my property, dogs, mailbox, fence, tractor, goats, and probably my scarecrow. And because her trespass involved injuries caused by her own negligence, she ended up getting fined by the county for violating zoning boundaries and triggering an emergency services response without cause. The HOA, desperate to save face, removed her from the board temporarily, but word spread fast. Someone leaked the video. It made it onto Facebook, then TikTok, then the town newsletter under the headline, "HOA Karen Mauled by Country Justice." Peace returned to my farm, the gates are locked, the cameras are rolling, and Karen, she learned the hard way what happens when you trespass where you don't belong. The end. Please like and subscribe for more HOA showdowns like this.